What will unlock you to do that is we have someone akin to a full-time researcher for the rundown. So we're going to talk about like the Hannah and the Aaron brand splitting.
Right.
Which I think is an eventuality just because it's the arena in which to fully realize the value of us both building brand equity,
yes.
Right? Piper's a brand, Aaron's a brand, Hannah's a brand. And if they are fully realized, they can be each self-sustaining individual businesses. The challenge is, how do we launch more endeavors underneath those different banners that have a business outcome or a tangible business catalyst behind them, I think is the big question.
Yeah.
If it was something more like the creative course that we talked about, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
Because I don't think the audience for what we're putting out right now would be super interested in the creative course.
Definitely not. Right now, I forget what the last art video I put on the channel was, but maybe the 30 paintings in 30 days thing in September.
Right.
And it just is out of place there. We will occasionally reference that I'm an artist in the rundown. Longtime viewers are vaguely aware of that, but there's no real place for what the Hannah Phillips brand actually is on the Aaron Watson channel.
And the good news is, as that channel grows, the capacity to seed the Hannah Phillips channel
Yes.
will be easier.
Yes.
It will only get easier.
We have the process down.
Yes.
We know how to efficiently pump out a show with regularity that gets clicks and gets views. Yeah.
All the best practices are there,
Yes.
yeah. I think that the thing that we will not resolve while I'm driving a vehicle is what is the timeline? Because one way to think about it is, what will unlock you to do that is we have someone akin to a full-time researcher for the rundown.
Yes.
And that researcher is basically prepping the whole structure of the show and prompting me. Basically, I think what would get a better performance out of me, but that would ask you to almost be a bigger business nerd than me, which is just never going to happen.
Right.
If we found that person, that would free you to not have to be on the rundown.
Yes.
And so, production-wise, we are just remote. What percentage of your work week do you think is the rundown?
Maybe 20%?
Okay. That's what I was gonna guess.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that if all of that time was given back to you, what we could start doing is you are creating whatever the equivalent is of 4 days per month.
Yeah.
4 work days per month.
Yeah.
Whether that's one big video essay, whether that's 3 little whatevers, you're creating content on the Hannah Phillips channel centered on that art stuff.
Right.
What I would be hoping for is that be integrated with the development of some form of online course that we can start selling, so that that does have some form of a gateway to business outcome for Piper.
Yeah. If I'm not doing the rundown, in my head it would make so much more sense to fully produce like a mini, doesn't even matter what the content is, but like have a full-fledged other show that comes out three times a week.
But see, that becomes a crazy different post-production schedule.
Not really.
On 20% a week?
If I don't have to worry about uploading the footage for someone else, and I constrain myself to keep it to like 5 to 10 minutes rather than research and all the stuff like for a 20-minute rundown, that's a significantly different story.
You think you could produce 3 videos every week on 20% of your work week?
Yeah. It would entirely depend on what I decided the content would be.
Yeah, I guess I don't see the post. I don't, like, to me you're breaking my brain that you could do the entirety of what currently takes 3 people way more than 20% of their collective work week.
You're forgetting about the factor that if I'm doing something that I'm super fucking like amped about, all I want to do is more of that thing.
Okay. I do agree that at the margins, if you're like spending your time, like if it's something that you'd be like excited to work on Saturday night, I get that. The 3 per week pace seems mildly overly ambitious if you are still needed in some capacity. Like if we're hiring that researcher, that's meanings like we're not yet fully staffed for like every in-person shoot that we need to do. And we're not yet fully staffed for like the marginal client projects that like Euros and AT can't handle.
True. I think I do miss the feeling of the early vlog days where we would shoot all day and the vlog would be up the next night. I felt like I was stamping my name on something and shipping it out into the world, and it was like a constant, there was always the next thing. And while that is the cadence for the rundown, my identity is not at all wrapped up in the Piper rundown.
Maybe this is just me having head trash, but I want to say it because it does feel true. The thing that makes you the most special is stuff like the art show, where you had worked on it for months, and what you shared at the end of all those months of work was something that a vast majority of people could never ever see themselves accomplishing. Like when I watched the video essay that you did on the movie
1917,
I was floored by the detail and all the work that I could see had gone into that thing. When I think about something at that type of pace, like it's like, to me it's almost like a good thing that the rundown isn't on your identity.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really feel like what I come to expect from Hannah Phillips.
Right.
And so
I agree.
As an arena of creative output, when you talk about wanting to do a different thing on a regular occurrence, maybe if it was creative centric, which I still don't, I guess I don't necessarily have a handle on.
Right.
I think that aligns to the Hannah Phillips story.
Here's what it is. If I'm starting another channel from scratch, the Hannah Phillips channel, the expectation that the first video is gonna be like a 1917 or a big video essay where I have to put a ton of thought and detail into it. I haven't been in that zone for such a long time. And so I need to shake off the rust and pick up momentum and just crank out a bunch of little things that are gonna refine those skills, get me on some sort of pace, and get me in the right mindset and like excited to conquer the big thing. Like the way my brain works is I am scattered, I work on a bunch of different things at once. Like if all of those things I'm excited about, then the wheels start turning for like, oh, well, what if I took this from this and this from that, and that goes into the bigger thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To me, the most appealing thing is thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna wake up today and just put something out into the world that I'm excited to talk about and excited to have conversations with people with. And that's what's gonna spur the rest of it. I don't expect the first thing on the Hannah Phillips channel to be the thing. I just expect it to be the first thing that has to spur everything else.